Yeah. I don't think we'll be successful.
Sure, won't be if we don't try.
I got a paper here.
Yeah.
She wants to,
got their attention.
we need early on the 13th, somewhere.
Trying to stick it on, the cap keeps coming off.
13th?
Yep.
I think I put, so.
She might try to reach you ahead of time and see how.
Oh, that's right.
Something you might want her to bring up at one time.
What's that?
Yep, the 13th here. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Oh, that's right.
Another person got
Got a note here for.
my wife on the fire marshal.
Was the downburst getting close? So when we can, they kind of want to know what's going on. That sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the second of February.
That's the second of February.
Thursday?
Where does this go?
Dressing that back there.
No. I have one more.
Yeah, but they're-
Oh, oh.
Yeah.
Just be one. On the fields, branded fences.
13th, 1 o'clock.
Right.
13th, 1 o'clock.
Did it right. I just stretched it from Lowe's on the corner all the way to
The actual meeting with the union. The meeting with the union is 1:30. Yeah, or half hour. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay, it's 9 o'clock, we'll start public comment, start with the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Comments, 5 minutes.
Morning, fellas.
Morning.
John, happy birthday, day late, church.
Thank you. 48.
Yeah.
48.
A full 48, right?
Just a young guy.
Good morning, I'm John Michael Fleck, a fourth generation Tama County crop and livestock farmer from Geisel. As farmers, we are caretakers of the land. Our goal is to leave the land better than we found it for future generations. Just like my father did for me, and goal is to leave our land better than we found it for my son and someday his family as well. That's why I'm here today to emphasize the need for Tama County to take action to develop a comprehensive commercial wind energy ordinance and a new industrial solar ordinance. Solar projects take a large amount of land out of production for decades. Solar developers may claim they are only idling land, but the fact is, land for solar projects is never the same after the weight and heat generated by solar panels bakes the ground to a crisp and miles of buzzing electrical cable are run through it for years. All of that infrastructure and hazardous waste may be left behind, potentially polluting soil and groundwater. Once a solar project is abandoned, too, since Tama County has no solar ordinance or no decommissioning requirements, according to the Great Plains Institute, it takes 10 acres of land to produce just 1 megawatt of electricity. And that's when the sun is suitable to generate electricity, which doesn't consistently happen here in Iowa due to frequent cloud cover. The number of homes that can be powered by solar varies greatly based on average sunshine, average household electricity use, and the temperature and wind. That's because solar and wind energy don't produce electricity consistently. There's a lot of waste with solar and wind energy. That's why we can't depend on renewable energy for electricity. Natural gas and nuclear are much more reliable sources of electric generation to consistently provide 24/7 access to electricity. But just don't take our word for it about the unreliability of variability of solar. The Solar Energy Industries Association, or SEIA, 1 megawatt of electricity generated by solar is only enough to produce less than electricity enough for 100 homes. In fact, SEIA rates Iowa last in the number of homes that can be powered by 1 megawatt of solar energy. That's less than 100 homes a year. Let me repeat that. According to the solar industry itself, Iowa ranks last in the number of homes that can be powered by 1 megawatt of solar energy at less than 100 homes a year. So why would we allow any commercial solar projects to be built in Tama County? To take 10 acres of farmland out of production for decades to power less than 100 homes? And homes that are probably not even in Tama County, but some city far away. In fact, according to SEIA, because of our climate conditions, Iowa ranks in the bottom third of states in terms of electric generation from solar. The bottom third. SEIA estimates show Iowa comes in 35th in the photovoltaic solar generation from the sun. That's because Iowa's climate isn't well suited to generating electricity from solar, compared to more arid, sunny, desert-like states like New Mexico or Arizona. In fact, according to SEIA, the top 5 U.S. states for solar generation are New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, California, and 5th is Utah. So here's an idea. If developers want to build solar projects, let them do it in the desert where there is more abundant sunshine and less productive soil. But don't ruin highly productive farmland in Tama County for some out-of-state developers to cash in on lucrative federal government subsidies for commercial wind or solar projects. Just because we have no ordinances governing land for use industrial solar projects. Or here's another idea. Has anybody ever been up to Crossroads Mall lately?
I haven't been, no.
It's a ghost town, guys. I mean, it's just bare cement, they abandoned it. Put solar projects in the parking lots of abandoned shopping malls and office parks. For example, why not put solar panels at Crossroads Center in Waterloo, now that the mall is a ghost town? Solar panels can go on the concrete parking lots in cities and the rooftops in cities. cities need more electricity, let them take their land and buildings and parking lots to generate, not take prime farmland like we have here in Tama County out of production. Let's protect our most precious natural resource in Tama County by protecting our farmland from being overrun by commercial developers who only seek to capitalize on the many federal government subsidies this administration is giving away to so-called renewable energy like solar and wind. Instead, let's remember that farming the land, preserving farmland for agriculture production is and remains our #1 source of economic development and jobs in Tama County. Not proposed solar or wind projects that will be here today bringing in outside construction crews and empty promises that will be here today and gone tomorrow. If we allow industrial solar projects to be built in Tama County, we will be further reducing the amount of farmland for agricultural purposes and the many proven, dependable jobs that come from producing crops and livestock in Tama County. Solar projects generate very few jobs once construction is complete, but they deplete the land and can take it out of production for generations. Plus, solar projects can create hazards like the risk of fire, stray voltage concerns for those who live near the arrays. Ask the people of Palo in Lynn County why they're suing to stop the proposed solar development near Palo, approved by the Lynn County Board of Supervisors, despite overwhelming public opposition. The fact is, now is the time to create and implement a commercial solar ordinance in Tama County. There are no...
John, you're gonna have to wrap it up. You've had 7 minutes.
I got 15 words.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yep.
There are no proposed solar projects that have sought county approval at this time. So now is the perfect time to begin that process, led by the Planning and Zoning Board, to get the job done to better protect our taxpayers and our farmland in Tama County.
Got a question for you. Laura was good enough to share Tama County audit with last week, even though you guys haven't approved. When will you officially approve?
We usually approve that.
That's what they did last week, is they accepted it. They don't,
Accepting it?
yeah, accept that, when it's an audit, we just accept it. It's accept / approve, but accept is the wording I'm supposed to use.
So they can answer questions if I ask it. Being on school board, I knew well enough, I don't understand all the figures in the front part, but I looked at the comment section in the rear. One question was answered by the newspaper article concerning the person that left their camper at the county park. Okay, no question there. One question concerns the expenditure of almost $1,000 worth of county money on state sales tax. I was wondering, how is that going to be resolved, because that should not have happened. You know, that's a purchase of, I'm thinking close to $15,000.
Through the audit, that department head or heads that, usually it's things that are purchased online, they need to provide a tax sale exemption certificate, and for some reason, they didn't catch that. And a lot of our departments already have those on file with a lot of the businesses, but they get new people in or whatever and they forget, and it doesn't get caught by the department head. So they get comments, I think there was two departments that happened in. So, they got comments and were talked to by the auditor that audited us and myself, and we were,
I mean,
reminded them
I
they
read-
need to do that, yeah, we can't get it back now.
I'm used to reading
Yep.
include things in resolutions and
Yep,
stuff
yep.
like that. It sounds like you've taken care of it,
Yep.
but I just wanted to ask.
Yep.
that So that publicly, you know, people know that that situation happened and it's been resolved.
Yep, and the department heads write a response to her comment and send it to her, and then they have an interview, so,
Thank you.
yep.
Go ahead.
I have one question. I'm not trying to start an argument or anything. I agree with points about different places solar panels could be placed, different areas. Has anyone out of the group talked to any power companies or anything to see what options would be for stuff like that, rather than going out to the fields? Nobody's talked to them. I might suggest that. I mean, somebody could say, hey, what, you know, when you go to Alliant or Mid-American or anybody and say, hey, what other options are there besides putting them here? Could we place them here? Could we do this? Could we do that? Or do we build another power plant? Where do we build it? See what options there are.
There's a lot of questions out there, and I think now's the time, since nothing's come to the board, you know, now's the time to look at it, instead of waiting till something is being asked to be permitted and there's no ordinances to make a decision by. That's why we're bringing it up to the board now, before we get in a situation.
Yeah, and I understand that, but meantime,
But we're not looking to build with solar panels, we're looking to stop solar panels, which is why we're
Exactly.
talking to the
Yeah.
board about asking,
See what the options
for
are with the power
moratorium
companies,
or-
cause this is with the power companies, when you talk to them, well, they're wanting to go solar and wind and not build anything else, so see what options you have with them.
Well,
What other places you could put them, like, you know, John mentioned, yeah, abandoned parking lot, nobody's gonna use it or whatever, yeah, will the city wanna do it, or, you know, whoever.
There's been private ones on rooftops.
Mhm.
We're just here to protect Tama County's most precious resource. You know,
Yeah, we're not against
No.
the private use
Right.
of solar. You know, the farmers that have 2 big units out there or more.
No, but that's what I'm asking, if you say, okay, we have these people coming in wanting to do it on the farm, is there another option that we can do besides that?
well, that would be for the power people to decide, we're trying to just say, we don't want it on our farmland, they need to find another
Yeah,
alternative.
but you understand what I'm saying, has anybody talked to them? Evidently not, you know. see
Saying
what-
that's not our job to talk to them.
If everybody works together, I mean, before people talked about, well, we'd like to see nuclear, well, you're gonna build a nuclear plant here, or where's it gonna be? Are you gonna build coal-fired, or are you gonna build gas, where would it be?
but see, we're here just to request that the county initiate and develop some ordinances for solar, and then the solar companies will come visit with these folks. Because it's up to these 3 individuals here and the Board of Adjustment and the zoning board to lay down the rules that we play by here in Tama County. We're here because we don't wanna see, there's been people approached already for 400 acres of solar panels, Bob. 400 acres.
Well, and people can go around and ask, and then even if there was a moratorium, people can still go around and see if there's interest or something. They
The
may
thing
not
of
be
it
able
is,
to build, but they.
We have nothing here in Tama County to protect that right now. And then if somebody signs an easement, then we're gonna hear, well, we can't do anything because we'll get sued.
Well, that's really not right, John, because there has to be public hearings. And, you know, that would, just like with Salt Creek, just, you know, they have to have public hearings. And that's when you can come in and say what you wanna say, and yes, you're for it, you're not.
I have a follow-up.
You just don't snap your fingers and say, well, you know, I've got an easement, we're gonna put it up. Or, you know, we've got agreement with these farmers. It doesn't work just that way.
Well,
But we also, the 3 of us also said, I don't realize it or not, we'd certainly look at this before it happens.
we really appreciate that because, you know, they featured it on Market to Market this past weekend. It was featured on national news.
That full measure. is that
Full
true?
Measure
Yeah, it was on Full Measure.
with Janet Atkinson Sunday morning. These companies are in southern Minnesota now.
Okay.
And then you go over to Lynn County and Palo, see what went on there. So we're in favor of being proactive
Understand that.
instead of
And,
worrying about shutting the door after the horse is out.
you know, we know you guys said you're gonna look at it. Well, that's what we want you to do. You know, do your responsibility, be proactive, look at it, see what's best for the people of Tama County.
I think the thing is too, is I wasn't here, but apparently with Salt Creek 1 and 2, they had the public hearings, blah, 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 all that stuff, and then the 3 guys voted for it. Well, if these guys go out and hit people up right now and blah, 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 even sign the easements, if they don't come and talk to us, this is how I take it, they don't have anything. I think we got in a situation with Salt Creek 1 and 2, that this board of supervisors voted yes after all that stuff, and then the problem, worried about getting sued, came in later. They come in the door with four or 5 farmers signed up, and we say no, it's no. You understand the difference?
I do, Kurt, but I also look at, you guys approved, the projects that are going on now, and we had Apex come in. And if they would have gotten enough acres, and they are still continuing to look for acres, if we don't update these ordinances, they've got free run.
I believe Apex would have to come in and talk to us then too, right? Correct? So I believe that's the same thing as I just kind of discussed.
But would you change for them when you did not Salt Creek?
We don't have to.
Salt Creek's in mid-construction. You know, we've talked, we've been down this road more than once. Salt Creek's in mid-construction. When we had public hearings, we had no opposition, none whatsoever. Now they're starting, you know, the rest of the story. Apex would be a different thing, you know, we may be able to look at those, I don't know. Apex is gone.
Another example, what do we do if,
They are still in Dexter, Dan, they've got an active
They've got an
office.
office over there,
Really.
so they're not gone.
what happens if, just for example, Alliant or whatever power company says, well, we wanna build another power plant, whatever it is, nuclear, coal, or gas, in Tama County, and we have farm ground that the farmer wants to sell us, what happens then?
That's where it comes up to zoning and the board of
But it's-
supervisors.
There's another example where it's farm ground, I mean, I'm not arguing with you, you understand what I'm saying? There's a bunch of farm ground there taken out then too, so.
Well, then
Exactly.
zoning should
If they have to
review
do, if
any
they have to
nuclear.
do,
And see, that's where it comes in, Bob, we're asking for guidelines. that-
but what happens, let's say, okay, they say, yeah, go ahead and build it, you know, how much stuff are we gonna run into then? Somebody's gonna be against it.
Yeah. I got it. Jim, did you have something?
Yeah, thanks. I would encourage the 3 supervisors to start looking, continue looking forward as opposed to backwards when it comes to both how we handle our county, our soil, our water, our air, and, like Mr. Winklefleck was talking about, what we leave for our kids. You know, back in 2020, Senator Grassley was up in Butler County. He was toting wind energy, which at that time produced 40% of the state's electricity, as a huge milestone. Talked about 9,000 islands and providing 9,000 jobs for islands, $69 million in land leases going to these people. That money then gets turned around and goes into the counties, into the schools, into the state of Iowa. And we're now at 59% generation. And so it's been a good idea in the eyes of Governor Branstad when he started it, and Chuck Grassley back in 2000, and it's still a good idea today. And nobody can say that we're gonna go totally to solar or totally to wind generation, because it's just not feasible based on our climate. But you've gotta have a balance. I was year, wind energy 2019, $22 billion in capital investment in Iowa. That's 22 billion with a B, folks. $67 million in annual leases for landowners. You know, a local landowner, maybe one of the people that signed that thing that said, don't put up a wind turbine, they're looking at $250,000 over the course of that wind turbine. You know, that's kids going to college, that's upgrading buildings, that's upgrading their machinery, that's moving into town when they get too old to be able to take care of themselves. That's taking care of themselves when they have some disastrous disease because, hey, we're all getting old, right? So hopefully the people that coerce them or encourage them to sign against wind turbines explain to them that they were foregoing $250,000 because somebody might need that. And that person might be somebody that gets the turbine and I don't get a turbine, and I'm fine with that. Because when I look ahead to tomorrow, these lights are still gonna be on. And in 30 years, those lights, we're gonna still want those lights to be on. So we have to have something. And, you know, in 2009, Alliant decided to go with natural gas instead of coal in Marshalltown. Another company did the same thing and dropped their license in Waterloo. They were gonna go coal. That would have been decades and decades of tons and tons of coal being mined, which destroys the land, pollutes the water and the air. Then the transportation, which does the same thing. And then the processing and the generation of energy from coal. There's nothing clean about coal, people. And that air pollution drifting 18 miles from Marshall County, that's not what we want. A wind turbine, as inconvenient as some people might think it is, they can help replace coal mines. They can help replace the fracking that goes on when people are trying to get every ounce of natural gas out of the earth, which again pollutes your water. It can help prevent some knucklehead trying to put a pipeline through Tama County. It can help prevent some knucklehead coming in saying they want to put a power plant in Tama County.
We don't have the rules for those though either,
And
for the pipeline.
it can also help us reduce our dependence on foreign oil. So there's a lot of good things that turbines will do. And this morning I was reading the paper, which you probably all got a couple days ago, but I live in Montour, so, and I see that Reagan Fibers has opened a recycling plant in Cedar Rapids, which is gonna recycle the wind turbine blades. And I know that was a big concern for somebody, what's gonna happen with those blades down the road. So there you go, technology is catching up and it's solving one of those problems for
And
us.
who's funding that? The government, our taxpayers' money is funding that.
So the last thing I wanna say is that
Yeah.
if you read the paper, you know what's going on in Des Moines. And there's a bill that's being fast-tracked through the Iowa legislature, which is gonna provide $7,538 to any kid that wants to go to a private school.
Amen.
And so, while you're praying, amen, think about this. Some kid wants to go from South Tama or Gladbrook Rhinebeck to a private school. We don't have a private school. All they have to do is qualify under very loose guidelines. Adjusted gross income under 88,000 for a family of 4 next year. The year after that, it's $111,000 income. The year after that, there's nothing. So you're gonna have rich kids taking our money out of the public school and using it to put their kid in a private school.
What, no
So
rules
that
in 3 years?
sound that
No
you
ordinance
hear,
in 3 years?
the sound that you hear is not the wind turbine that's 5 miles away. The sound that you hear is the money being sucked out of our local schools. Green Mountain, Garland. Pick one, doesn't matter.
Gladbrook,
That
if you wanna mention Gladbrook,
that
Yeah,
money,
don't forget Gladbrook.
that
Move
money
to Rhinebeck.
is going from Tama County schools to private schools wherever. And they're gonna cripple our schools. And Salt Creek is talking about $59 million into Tama County just during construction. And then another $50 million in tax, property taxes.
Let's talk, no
And
promises.
we need that tax money to stay here, or your property taxes are gonna go bananas.
Our taxes have already gone up bananas, because the supervisors were expecting a certain income from the turbine companies, and it didn't happen. Didn't happen.
So again, gentlemen, don't look back. We're not gonna start digging coal mines in southern Tama County.
Wrong with
Look
natural
forward.
gas.
Look
Been
forward.
5 minutes, hasn't it?
Yes.
Wrong with natural
Okay.
gas.
How come you don't time them if you time us?
He did, he just cut him off.
Oh, John got 7 minutes, he did. You guys were interrupting him too. Nobody interrupted John, did they?
I did. I said,
Barb?
the show that was on TV.
I was just wondering, you had said that we'd had public, hearings for Salt Creek 1 and 2. Is that confirmed that the hearings were for both phases? I don't remember hearing anything about
Salt Creek
2.
1, excuse me.
Okay, so they do still need to hold public hearings for Salt Creek 2?
I think they were held for something.
No, they have to do those.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So they do have to hold public hearings for phase 2.
I believe so.
Because that's a separate
I'm not
project,
sure.
right?
I'm not sure on that.
So, phase 2, since there haven't been public hearings, that would be the same as Apex coming in where we could update the ordinances before those public hearings and approvals, right? I mean, that's your logic, is that they haven't held public hearings, same with the solar?
The logic is Salt Creek's under construction.
Salt Creek 1 is under construction.
Right. But 2 was never guaranteed. They had commented that they knew that was a gamble. They haven't had their public hearings. But you're saying you're risking getting sued for updating ordinances before phase 2, but you're not risking getting sued updating solar ordinances before a company comes in. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying, the three of us have said, you folks, we'll look at some of these options when it comes time, but we're not gonna, I don't think we ought to start putting all kinds of regulations on things we don't even know are gonna even happen or not. We're in the middle of Salt Creek 1, we need to get out of this, we need to get that finished, and, you know, if these folks come in and they wanna build solar farms, you'll know about it. You can come to the hearings, you can state your case.
We're asking
And
you
we
right
can-
now,
and-
Dan,
What's that?
we're asking you right now to make an ordinance for solar. They are approaching us.
Nobody has been here, Nancy.
But they
Nobody
are
has been
approaching
here,
us, though.
said anything to us about solar.
Yeah, I've been contacted by Ted Renewables.
He's been telling you that for weeks.
What's that?
He's been telling you that we've been approached already, and you guys just sit there and do nothing.
Well,
So you guys need to be proactive and put something in the ordinance that would protect the Tama County people.
You're here to protect us.
One
Okay, we
last,
gotta go on to our meeting.
one last comment. Would you consider putting in a moratorium before you allow people to try updating the solar ordinance? Just put in a moratorium to stop people from even considering coming to look for solar here.
I wouldn't, though.
No. We gotta go on to our meeting, John.
Oh, yeah, we don't wanna miss that. 5 minutes.
I'll call the meeting to order. Lyle?
So we had to spend the latter part of last week out pushing snow on the pavements, on the rock roads. Pushing snow on the rock roads really got to be a lot slower than normally. Roads were very thawed out. Normally we have trucks clean the pavements off, and then we turn the trucks loose on the rock roads to help get snow on. With the roads as thawed out as they were, that was not an option. We needed to limit it to the motor graders that have a fixed cylinder to help get the snow off. And it really did slow things down to, it took a couple days to get the snow off of the roads. As opposed to normally we're done by the end of the first day. And it was a wet, heavy, snowy day. We did have trucks out yesterday, dealing with snow in the morning, dropped some material. That's what we've got going on so far. We spoke last week, I've been working with getting a contract lined up. We don't have the contract yet for working on Shed B. And there's been some work going on out at the shop with the new building. Not as much as you'd like to see, but they're at the point where they've got another section of the frame that's ready to be lifted up into place. But it's coming slower you have anything for me?
I Avenue, South Tama, about 2 miles from the Columbia Stub Road, there's kind of a long hill. Had a complaint, it's pretty icy there, and
I see.
so if you have somebody staring, kind of scratch through that. Here's
It's- It's nice to have the roads froze up again.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
No.
Kurt? Very good, thank you.
Got a motion for last week's minutes.
Oh, yeah, need a motion to approve last week.
We'll do that. How about Kurt?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, got a motion to approve last week's minutes. Have a motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Tammy?
What? Just kidding. Do we do the ordinance now or later? Okay.
Yeah.
So, the ordinance is for, I'm sorry, the resolution, no ordinance. Dang it. So the resolution is for the, generator purchases that we had discussed earlier, but we did not have them approved because we didn't have the quotes back yet. So the quotes are back yet, Sean Weber is the cheapest out of all of them, and so the resolution would, finish that piece. We've already accounted for this money out of there. So it would not be any additional money that we had not already expected to spend. Okay, so I would ask you to, approve those. We did meet last Monday, to go over all of these to make sure everything was up to date.
I'll make a
Okay.
motion that we accept it.
Do we need to read it first?
Yep, I'll go ahead and read it real quick. Resolution 123, 2023B, a resolution to approve disbursement of funds for the American Rescue Plan Act. Whereas on March 11th, 2021, President Biden signed the $109 trillion American Relief Plan Act, and whereas Tama County applied for and has received funds from the American Rescue Plan Act totaling $3.2 million, whereas the Tama County Board of Supervisors has reviewed, requests, and determined some that will qualify for the American Rescue Plan Act, whereas based on the distribution guidelines from the U.S. Department of Treasury, the following projects have been approved for the use in the second round of said funds. Tama Maintenance Generators, $136,000. Tama County Secondary Roads Generators, $116,000. Tama County Landfill Generator, $20,000. Be it resolved that the Tama County Board of Supervisors endorses the disbursement of the American Rescue Act funds for the items listed and authorizes the auditor to make these payments as they are presented.
Motion,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept that resolution.
second.
I will second that.
Okay, roll call vote. Kurt?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Resolution passed. Okay, anything else, Tammy?
Yes, okay, so I put together some numbers for you guys. Lyle and I had met and discussed because, contract negotiations are coming up with the union, with the roads union. So, let's see, these are yours separate. So, these are just, this is the road, let's put my glasses on, cause I can't see. This is the roads one, on the last page is the one that, so I had put those together, sent them to Lyle, and then Lyle went back and kinda looked at them again. And so his recommendation on that one, is gonna be a little different. Is that his? Yes. So you see what he wants to do. Now, remember, when we go to negotiation, it's up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanna make sure you guys have that. And then this right here is, Teamsters 238. The contract's not up for negotiation. But that would be an adjustment, you would have to, approve that at some time, decide if that's what you wanna do. I went ahead and put the number numbers together for that. And then here's the deputies and jailers union. And those are all based on the 7%. No change, no discrepancy in, whether you're a jailer or a deputy. And, that's it, that's all I have. Which one did I give you?
Okay.
That's what they approved for their 2-year contract, so.
The top one is, this is already approved.
Okay.
Yes, and so all of it is already approved. This is just if they decided to do something different.
Okay,
So,
but right now they can't.
no, there's nothing that they need to act on or do right
No.
now.
Okay,
Let me give you this one too, so you have that one.
okay.
And I just put some numbers together so we had them, because I know negotiations are gonna be coming up here pretty soon. So, that's it, that's all I have.
Okay. Thanks, Tammy.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Tammy. Is there a motion to approve the claims, Bill? Is there a motion to approve the claims? I was getting there. You made the motion?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the claims. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Okay, you had a chance to look through the reporters?
Yes, I have.
You, Dan, or Kurt?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the recorder's quarterly report?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Been moved and seconded to approve the recorder's quarterly report. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Okay. That is all we have.
Yeah, anybody else have anything else they wanna bring up or talk about?
I know we've had a couple people been approached for solar panel fields. Do you know, and they were talking like $1,000 an acre.
Per year.
Now, is that guaranteed, or could that turn out like the wind turbines where it doesn't come through? That $1,000 an acre, do you
I
know?
don't remember. I got the contract, but I'd have to read it to verify what you're asking. Yeah.
Cause I know on the solar, on the wind turbines, a lot of it's based on, if they're not running, you're not getting paid, you know. And I just wondered if the solar panel fields were that way, if they get covered with
I
snow.
know there's a part, pre-construction, you're allowed to so many dollars per acre, reduced greatly from 1,000. But they'll pay a little bit until they get the thing up and running. But, the reason I have declined that is I'm looking at my farm and, it's a subsidized operation as the wind is. And if the government changes and it's not subsidized any longer, or if we see new, generation possibilities, which I read, there's some, was it fission or something that's coming up, that in maybe 20 years, or 10 or 20 years, we could see something different. My farm is covered with glass. What good is it? I can't rent it out for farmland. So I am, why should I put it in? Yeah, $1,000 an acre is big money for me. And
It's big money for any farmer.
yeah. And they want the
You
whole
wouldn't be a
farm.
farmer anymore, though.
I'm not a farmer anymore,
Yeah.
but I'm looking out for my kids.
John, you have something?
John?
Yeah, thanks. I've just got a statement for Jim Hushak. There is also a bill being fast-tracked in Des Moines, in the legislature, for 5,000-foot setbacks from wind turbines. 5,000 feet. A bill is being proposed as we speak. Second of all, I think as taxpayers of the county and of this fine nation we have, there is $294,000 worth of debt against each taxpayer. $94,000 of debt per citizen. How much much more can you put on the American taxpayer? There's $294,000 worth of debt per taxpayer in this country. These solar and wind turbines, they are not viable without huge government subsidies. How can you impose that on a taxpayer who, one, doesn't believe in them, two, shouldn't have to pay that tax to subsidize a business that's not viable on its own? Second of all, to Mr. Hushak, who thinks about the lights on in this building, if anybody has gone hungry, they will find another source of energy. But you cannot replace the ground taken out of production to produce food. On Sunday morning, Janet Atkinson asked this farmer in southern Minnesota about solar development and taking land out of food production. He says this country won't be able to export as much. What's not right about that answer? We're giving something up not to grow food? We all need to think about that. Because I'm guessing that each one of us here are blessed to enjoy a Thanksgiving dinner, and nobody in this room goes hungry. There's a parking lot in Waterloo, Crossroads Shopping Mall. I have no idea how many acres are covered with cement. That land is ruined. You tear that cement up, doesn't matter. It's dead. It's not going back in production. It is ruined. Something like that needs to be utilized, not our prime farmland. The value of that farmland continues to climb every year. They're not making any more of it. There's less and less out there. For those of us who have gone to Iowa City, seen the roads taking farmland out of production. We talk about $1,000 an acre. Everybody grossed well over $1,000 an acre this year in crop production.
Yeah,
I just want everybody to think about that.
yeah.
Can I make a short comment?
Yep.
I appreciate you guys. I know you're between a rock and a hard place, but keeping your mind open concerning solar. And TCAT is doing what they can, and I've talked to you guys. We're doing what we can to try and resolve a lot of situations, okay, both publicly and privately. And we appreciate your willingness to at least listen, okay? And we thank you for that, so.
We appreciate that. Another thing to touch on what Jim Hushak brought up, there's no Gladbrook school left. That school now, for the kids that chose to, they went to Green Mountain. The others are out of this county and are at Rhinebeck at Grundy. It's gone. Those wind turbines didn't help that community.
I'm gonna make a remark on that. That school got closed because of Rhinebeck. Period. Their school board closed that. Whether you wanna believe it or not.
But Bill, how did it get to that point? That school wasn't viable. They started
Because the
sharing.
city of Rhinebeck and the Rhinebeck district did not want that school in that town. They
That-
could have kept it up.
That may very, I'm not gonna get in an argument, that may very well be true. But why wasn't Gladbrook on its own to begin with? Why did they go to Rhinebeck? Why did they go out of the county? Because it wasn't viable to stand on its own. When Kurt and I were in school, Gladbrook stood on its own.
I know it did. I graduated from Gladbrook.
Well, there you go, then you should know.
I'm
I know where the
Yeah.
problem was. Whether you wanna believe it or not.
Okay.
Thank you for your time, guys.
Do you have any intentions of, getting replacements on the, board of, on the zoning board?
We have not dealt with that yet, no.
When do you plan to do that?
I don't know, we haven't discussed it.
It seems to me that's, in my mind, it's a priority, but I don't have any idea what you guys are facing, but it seems to me like it'd be a priority.
Is there a reason why you haven't discussed it?
No, we just haven't.
When do you do your discussions? Like, do you meet
In the
other
mornings.
times or just at this meeting?
That
or
hasn't came up.
Can you put it on your list? Could we request that you put it on your discussion
Yeah, we'll
list?
discuss it.
And that will be here?
Probably, yes.
Okay.
For next week, will you discuss it?
I don't know.
Why don't you know?
We'll think about it.
Please do.
Rob, did you have something?
I was just, what I talked to you about the other day, did you have a chance to talk to them, see if they could run an ice blade or some sand?
I mentioned it to Lyle this morning.
Alright, thank you. I'm sure I missed it, I was a little late to the game, but appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. If it doesn't get done, give me a call.
Pardon?
If it doesn't get done in a couple of days, I'll give me a call.
Yeah, I mean, it's just where the sun don't hit the road,
Oh, I know,
it's,
slicker.
Yeah.
boy.
Slicker.
I've lived out there my whole life and there's, I can count on one time how many times my pickups wanted to turn a circuit in the road.
Oh, yeah, it's slick.
Down the hill's even worse.
That's what it is, it's two big hills, deep ditches on each side. Yeah, it's,
And I did that, mention it to him, like I say, if it doesn't get done, like by tomorrow afternoon, give me a call.
yeah, and I understand them not wanting to mess the road up underneath or whatever.
Yeah, well.
I think it's better forwards enough now.
Yeah, it's pretty solid underneath everything right now.
We have any spots like that, they should be touched.